The Preamble, the beginning of the Constitution. This includes many different areas of topics and can be interpreted in multiple ways, but the most important interpretation to us is how it can be related to immigration. Within the Preamble, it calls to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for common defense, care for those in need, and secure the blessings of liberty. Each of these topics can be expanded upon to make a case onto why immigration should be allowed in the United States of America.
We as a nation pride ourselves on freedom. We keep these freedoms intact by maintaining justice. In order to maintain justice, we must keep a standard to which we hold all citizens, no matter race or age. Since we believe in equality for all, that should apply to everyone, even the people who are in our country trying to find refuge illegally. These refugees are trying to flee the awful persecutions they are facing in their third world countries, and America is turning our backs on them. When we split up their families and force family members to go back to the nations they are so desperately trying to escape, we are not treating these people with dignity they deserve. One of these injustices is how we separate families by allowing the children to stay in our country through the DACA program.
DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and under this program, children can stay in our nation to start lives, get an education, and one day find work. They would not have had these opportunities in their home countries that are riddled with crime and poverty. These children should not be faulted for their parents' decision to try to start a better life in the United States of America, which promises a better life for all. Our president wants to end DACA, which is the only thing protecting these kids. Before DACA, these children were unprotected and scared for their lives and how fast they could change if something went wrong. Then in June 2012, they got hope when former President Barack Obama passed DACA. This program protects people who were brought to the U.S. as children. DACA is a permit to let these children go to school and work legally. To qualify for DACA, you must pass 3 requirements. You had to come to America when you were 16 or under, you have to be in school, have a high school degree or a GED, and you cannot have a criminal
Survey
record.
of DACA recipients found nearly 70% got a job with better pay. More than 60% opened their first bank account. Nearly 65% bought their first car, and a similar share say that they've pursued educational opportunities they previously couldn't. But when these protections expire over the coming weeks, months, or years, they'll be back where they started before 2012, unable to work legally and constantly at risk for deportation.
The DACA program goes along with the part of the preamble that calls us to care for those in need, meaning we as a nation can't turn our backs on the helpless refugees trying to find a safe haven within our borders. We need to pull together as a nation and put new bills into motion that can save the lives of these people. They come to our country because they are being persecuted in their home nations and can no longer call these places their home. We have always been a country that radiates hope to those in most need. Inside the Statue of Liberty is a sonnet by Lazarus that portrays how many people seeking freedom feel. America can help these people in their biggest times of need.
Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with the torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your hurtled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Over the course of human history, many different races and religions have been persecuted, and many of these poor souls have been able to find refuge in the United States. The very first example of this being when the English came to the Western Hemisphere on the Mayflower, escaping the royal crown in Great Britain. Again in the 1840s and 50s, a mass immigration of German and Irish descent came to America, escaping the potato famine and social persecution from their own governments. We have always been a country who takes in the people who aren't safe in their own nations and give them peace of mind. The few times America has closed its gates or discriminated against certain ethnic groups were some of the lowest points in American history. During World War II, America forced all Japanese Americans to go to filthy internment camps out of fear that they were spies, but seemingly overlooked anyone who could have been of German descent. Again, in 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act didn't allow any Chinese immigrants into our nation for 10 years, but that was long ago. Now, if we put a travel ban, it would not necessarily be effective because the people we're trying to keep out will find a way in. We already have many illegal immigrants in our nation, and who's to say the people under the travel ban couldn't come here illegally as well?
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting.
First of all, the statistics aren't with them. It turns out that people who are undocumented are among the least likely groups to commit illegal acts, and the study showed that they're 1/5 to 1/2 less likely to commit a crime. So I'm going to start a task force called SAINT, Saved by American Immigrants National Task Force, to talk about Americans whose lives were saved by people who are here undocumented. People like Dr. Alfredo Quinez Hinojosa, who became a brain surgeon, saving countless lives. People like Antonio Chacon, who chased down a child abductor and saved a 6-year-old girl from a horrific fate, even though he's undocumented. Another undocumented immigrant named Jesus Manuel Cordova, who rescued a 9-year-old boy in the Arizona desert. These are the kinds of life-saving efforts from our undocumented immigrants where they save American lives.
On top of the immigrants still being able to technically get into our country, they also are not contributing to the crime rate as this graph shows. As you can see, the immigrants and illegal immigrants have a much lower crime rate in comparison to the native-born citizens. We, as human beings, need to realize that we all are from immigrant descent and all of our ancestors were freeing from the same persecutions. Our nation prides itself on being free and accepting refugees into our country, and if we go back on these promises, then how can we be a nation people can look into their times of need? I personally want to believe that the nation we live in will continue to accept the people in the most need of our help, and I hope you will feel the same.